The mood on the Love and Hip Hop set was anything from usual that day. Crew workers were rushing cameras, while castmates stood transfixed in disbelief. Word traveled like wildfire. Police had come on site, and not just for crowd control. What occurred next astonished everyone. Kirk Frost and Mendeecees were detained and hauled off. Fans are outraged, insiders are murmuring, and now the reality behind the commotion is beginning to unfold. How did things develop to this? Sources reported that a vicious no-holds-barred brawl broke out between the two reality stars. One was packed with deep-seated bitterness, personal betrayals, and years of stress eventually spilling out while cameras were running. Fists flew, shouts were exchanged, and production was completely disrupted. The police were apparently summoned when the situation grew violent, and neither Kirk Frost nor Mendeecees backed down. This isn't just reality television drama. This is a real-life controversy happening in front of our own eyes. Buckle up for the narrative behind their startling arrest, even more explosive than anybody thought. Keep watching as we go deep into the fight, the fallout, and the secrets that brought everything tumbling down. The moment Kirk Frost and Mendeecees were driven away. In the rear of two different police cars, a terrifying calm fell over the Love and Hip Hop set. The formerly lively production floor, loaded with lights, music, and camera talk, suddenly felt more like a crime scene. Producers stood freezing, assistants muttered to each other, while cast members sat wide-eyed, still attempting to grasp what had just transpired. Crew members rushed to find out whether the day would even, when others immediately quit what they were doing and walked off set scared. Rashida was observed walking in circles trying to phone someone, presumably a lawyer or Kirk's management. Yandy was observed murmuring as she sat on a bench outside the studio, her head in her hands. Friends attempted to console her, but she continued repeating, "The moment when the cops detained means, I just want to know he's okay." She added, her voice barely heard within the studio. One of the show's producers, apparently shaken, started making calls to the network. "We've got a real situation here. Leva was going to need to be looped in right now." He communicated into his earpiece. The network was allegedly upset and wanted a detailed investigation while simultaneously rushing to ascertain whether they could legally show any footage of the event. According to sources, some of the brawl and arrest were recorded on video while the cameras were rolling during sections of the mayhem. But just as production sought to reorganize, a fresh surprise hit. Word went out that a nearby citizen strolling previously, the studio had filmed a piece of the altercation and the arrest on their phone. Within an hour, a fuzzy, shaky footage of Kirk Frost ranting and cops holding him in cuffs leaked on social media and, as predicted, went viral. Instantly, the video was shared, replayed, and scrutinized across all media. Kirk Frost was arrested. One fan tweeted, while another remarked, "This season going to be wild if they show this." Meanwhile, at the local police precinct, Kirk Frost and Mendeecees were being booked. Both guys were placed in holding cells and their mug photographs were taken. Images would soon find their way onto the internet, causing even more commotion and backlash. Insiders at the station claimed Kirk Frost remained furious, asking again why Mendeecees weren't the only ones getting arrested. "I was protecting myself, so why am I DC's?" On the other hand, remained calm but requested to meet with this lawyer. "I'm not saying a word without my attorney," he informed the cops. Back on set, a conference was promptly scheduled with the remaining cast members. Producers sought to secure everyone's safety moving forward and tried to salvage what they could of the season. Some cast members were too traumatized to talk, privately conceded that the event may be a blessing in disguise for the show's ratings. "People are going to tune in now like never before," claimed one staff member. Tammy, the show's stylist, commented on her Instagram account, "This ain't Tib, this is real-life prayers for everyone involved." Her message was reshared by fans, particularly those who were beginning to voice worry about the cast's mental and emotional well-being, even created online petitions encouraging one to delay the publication of the forthcoming season to evaluate the sort of message. At the Frost household, Rashida went home later that evening, clearly fatigued. She allegedly told friends she couldn't sleep, terrified about what this would mean for their family. Kirk's adolescent children had already seen the clip spreading online, and they were asking, "Is Dad going to jail?" According to someone close to the family, Rashida was doing her best to keep things together. But sources believe she was outraged that things went this far and chastised production for not stepping in sooner. Yandy came home but did not make a public remark. Her team issued a short tweet stating Yandy Smith-Harris appreciated the support and is requesting solitude during this time. But privately, Yandy was allegedly unhappy not only with Kirk Frost, but at the whole production team. They knew that they let the tension to develop. She allegedly told a friend, "This isn't just drama for ratings. This is our real life." As night struck, fans continued refreshing their accounts for developments. Hashtags like Kirk Frost and Mendeecees and hashtag LoveAndHipHop began. Trending major entertainment blogs took up on the story, each with their own twist. One publication stated Kirk had completely cracked, while another implied that the dispute has been festering for months and conspiracy theories have begun to emerge. Some fans believe the entire affair was manufactured for the cameras, while others swear the emotions were too raw to be bogus. And then came another bombshell. One of the Love and Hip Hop executive producers went anonymously to a newspaper, revealing that Kirk Frost and Mendeecees had been advised just a week before to calm down, or risk being suspended. "We saw this coming," the producer stated, but no one expected it to result in arrests. This revelation generated even greater criticism, with viewers blaming the program of poking the bear for ratings and putting their cast members in danger. At the precinct, Kirk Frost was given one phone call, which he utilized to speak with Rashida. Their conversation was reportedly tense, was unhappy not only about being detained, but about the media circus blossoming outside. "They're making me appear like the villain," he added. Rashida, still distraught, answered, "This is a problem, Kirk Frost. I don't see how we come back from this." Mendeecees, meantime, stayed relatively silent. When his lawyer came, he was brief on, while the accusations were not severe, the public nature of the arrest and the harm to his reputation were apparent. This could affect everything: sponsorships, future partnerships, even the next season, his lawyer cautioned him. By midnight, both Mendeecees were freed on bond, but only after signing a notice declaring they were legally banned from engaging in future physical. As Kirk Frost and Mendeecees moved out of the area, local authorities issued a warning to the production crew to preserve safety on location. Photographers mobbed them, demanding questions. Neither man reacted. Kirk Frost went into a waiting vehicle with Rashida, while Mendeecees left in a different car with his lawyer. The night may have finished, but the tempest was far from ended. Within hours, news sites began sharing exclusive photographs of the two guys in cuffs, as well as leaked set film showing bits of the brawl had taken on a life of its own, and fans couldn't look away. And just as viewers thought the mayhem might quiet down, a mysterious tweet from NBC's hit the timeline. "Viewers going to learn not to play with fire." Erased, but not before it was taken and published online, creating even more concerns. What did he mean? Who was he talking about? Kirk Frost? The producers? What began as just another day on the Love and Hip Hop set had evolved into one of the most talked about moments in the show's history. Fans, cast members, and the production team were now all left to deal with the repercussions of a day that no one would ever forget. Mendeecees, obviously agitated and holding his arm from the previous struggle, remained behind, panting heavily and pacing back and forth like a caged animal. Producers attempted to calm him down, but he continued mumbling under his breath, "Nah, he's not getting away with it today." Cameras were rolling, but no one was thinking about the program anymore. This was genuine. The energy had transformed totally, and just when they believed it was finished, Kirk Frost reappeared escorted by two crew members trying to hold him back. "Save again. Say that about my family one more time," Kirk Frost cried, pointing as shaking Mendeecees twisted his head, his eyes narrowing, and he threw up his hands. "You want to go again? You really want to go there?" Rashida, who had been standing off to the side with security, rushed forward yelling, "Stop it, both of you, stop it right now. This isn't worth it." But it was too late. Kirk Frost lunged forward, and this time punches flew. There was no drawing back. It wasn't just a little reality show type pushing contest. This was a full-blown street fight happening on a production set. Members yelled, some fled, others attempted to separate them, but the two men were involved in a vicious exchange, each motivated by pride, fury, and a lengthy list of unsaid tensions. Chairs were knocked over. Equipment collapsed to the ground. Someone dropped the light setup, which fractured and flared. It was mayhem. Then someone cried, "Call the police." They've lost it. And just like that, the mood changed from tense to downright scary. Extras scramble get out of the way. Makeup artists scurry behind their stations. Even the director, who normally enjoyed high drama sequences, appeared genuinely terrified. Crowded speaking nervously about legal responsibilities and what would happen if the film leaked. Meanwhile, Kirk Frost had landed a punch square on Mendeecees' jaw, sending him falling backward. TC's returned with equal fury, driving Kirk Frost into a neighboring table that cracked beneath their weight. Security eventually raced in, ripping the men apart with full force. Kirk Frost was held back by 3. Guards were still swinging and yelling profanities, while DC's was carried away in the opposite direction. "You think you're untouchable?" Kirk Frost yelled. "Can stroll in here and speak about my wife and family and get away with it?" Mendeecees' men, breathless but defiant, shouted back, "You don't know what respect is." Whole problem, it was a verbal war now bouncing off the walls of the stage as the crew stood transfixed in astonishment. Rashida was weeping. "I can't believe this," she wailed, holding her phone. "This program is meant to be about healing and progress, not this." Someone threw her a towel and ushered her off stage. Cameras had already stopped filming, but someone, maybe a staff member, had pulled out their phone and started filming. Within minutes, the tape was already being shared in group conversations. The cast group text burst, and Yendi messaged Bambi, inquired whether it was true. Safari dropped the astonished expression emoji, and someone else cautioned, "The network is not going to appreciate this." Outside the building, sirens screamed in the distance. The cops were on their way quickly. Everyone stood silently, now monitoring the door, waiting. Then came the moment no one realized what had happened. 2 patrol cars roared into the lot. 4 officers leaped out. "Where are the folks engaged in confrontation?" one of them yelled, coming swiftly toward the production crew. Right inside, a scared producer indicated, and the officers entered, chilling. The entire set halted, including Kirk Frost and Mendeecees, who were still hurling insults at each other from across the room. The lead cop approached them and asked, "Gentlemen, what happened?" Kirk Frost started to explain, but Mendeecees cut him off. "He placed his hands on me first. Check that they have the footage. We will review everything," the officer answered. "For now, both of you must accompany us." Gasps filled the room. No one anticipated it to go this far. Even the most spectacular love and hip-hop scenes seldom resulted in actual arrests. Kurt froze. "You're serious?" Mendeecees were similarly surprised, eyes darting around the room for support. "Nah, we can hash this out. I'm not going to jail for this clown, sir. Cooperate," the officer urged forcefully as he beckoned for assistance. Handcuffs snapped. The situation was surreal. Kirk Frost, a veteran reality TV figure, and Mendeecees, known for his own legal difficulties in the past, were being brought away in front of cast crew and many witnesses. Some staff members attempted not to stare, while others couldn't resist watching. Phones were pulled out again despite producers yelling no filming. But it was too late. Fans outside the set already knew something was up. A throng had collected near the entrance, and when Kirk Frost and Mendeecees were let out in cuffs, all hell broke loose. Fans screamed, sobbed, and shouted messages of support or contempt. Kirk Frost, "We love you." Mendeecees, "You better than this." And then one voice cuts through the noise. "This is the end of Love and Hip Hop for real." Those words strike hard. The program was already under fire for blurring the lines between real life and reality T, and now 2 of its greatest personalities were marching into police cruisers. Rashida raced outside, pleading authorities for they allowed her a brief chance to talk with Kirk Frost. "Baby, I'm going to fix this." Kirk Frost said, his voice shaking. "Tell the kids I love them," she nodded. Tears flowing down her cheeks. Mendeecees, meantime, said nothing. He just gazed straight ahead, mouth clenched as if already braced for what was next. What followed would shock the entire series to its core, since once the arrest tape made it online, everything would alter forever. The tension on the set was evident as Kirk Frost and Mendeecees stood face to face, their voices rising in rage. Every eye was on them as the heated discussion progressed. However, no one expected what occurred next. Kirk's face was flushed with wrath, his hands quivering as he pointed forcefully at Mendeecees. "You think you're the only one who's gone through it, huh? You don't even know what true devotion is." Kirk Frost spat, breaking over the commotion of the crew trying to interfere. DC's known why his calm attitude abruptly broke loyalty. "Kirk Frost, you've been playing everyone around you, even your own family. Don't pretend like you're some saint," and shot back, his tone simmering with irritation. Fans who had gathered outside the set were already buzzing on social media, guessing about the reason of the brawl. Some pointed fingers Rashida, Kirk's wife, while some assumed the incident was a product of ancient grudges and unsolved difficulties between the two men. No one could have expected the eruption that was. As Kirk Frost surged closer to Mendeecees, emotions reached a breaking point. "You think you can call me out like that on camera? You're nothing but a fake," Kirk Frost screamed, pressing Mendeecees' heart in the chest. The sound of the shelf resonated throughout the stage, and everyone paused for a minute, apprehensive of what would happen next. He staggered backward, but immediately regained his footing, his rage rising as he proceeded to meet Kirk Frost. "Don't ever put your hands on me, Kirk Frost," Mendeecees cautioned, his voice low but full of danger. The crew, who had first stayed aside, hurried to separate the two guys. The situation was swiftly spinning out of control. "We need to get security in here now," one of the production assistants murmured into a radio. But it was too late. Kirk's emotions had already reached a boiling point. Without warning, lurched forward again, but this time it was Mendeecees who responded first. In one rapid action, Mendeecees slammed Kirk Frost, sending him tumbling into a set prop. The collision created a tremendous smash that resonated over the set, grabbing the attention of everyone there. Chaos ensued as the crew struggled to handle the situation, but it was clearly evident that things had gone out of hand. The police were summoned to the set after security reported the fight, and authorities arrived just as the two men proceeded to exchange harsh remarks. The mood was laced with tension as the crew sought to calm both parties, but there was no stopping the storm that had been unleashed. "This is insane," one crew member muttered as he watched the officers move in. "I've never seen Kirk Frost like this before, and neither have the men. It's like a war zone." The cops, understanding the combustible nature of the situation, promptly began conversing with both Kirk Frost and Mendeecees. To de-escalate the situation, "What happened here?" one of the policemen inquired, his voice hard but calm. Kirk Frost, simmering with wrath, pointing a finger at Mendeecees, "This man has been insulting me for far too long. He has no regard for anyone, especially me." Mendeecees is plainly irritated but attempting to keep his calm, responded, "Kirk Frost has been lying about me and my family for months. He has been putting me under the bus at every step, and I'm tired of it. It's time someone stood up to him." As authorities attempted to mediate, it became evident that both men were equally guilty in the situation. Kirk's rage, which had been building for months, suddenly boiled over, and Mendeecees, his reserved personality, had reached his limit. It wasn't simply a disagreement anymore, it was personal. Emotions ran high as the two men's long-standing animosity came to a head in front of the whole production staff and a surprise. Security attempted to calm everyone down, but the damage had been done. Kirk Frost and Mendeecees, who were previously comrades in the actual world, were now adversaries, hatred overflowing into the public view. The cameras that were previously focused on the day scenes were now switched off, but the harm was done. Footage of the argument would subsequently leak on social media, causing a frenzy among fans and followers of the program. "Did Kirk Frost really shove guys DCs?" one fan commented. while another added, "This is the craziest thing I've ever seen on Love and Hip Hop." The turmoil that had been simmering for months had finally burst, and it was evident that the impact would be far-reaching. Festering for a time, but no one could have guessed it would reach this boiling point. As the cops deliberated what actions to take next, the air was heavy with anxiety. No one knew what the future contained for the two men, but their rivalry was far from finished. Meanwhile, back at the production office, Rashida was getting calls about the event. When she heard the news, her face plummeted. "What do you mean Kirk Frost got into a fight with Mendeecees?" "Monster," she questioned, her voice quivering with disbelief. It was difficult to believe that the man she had married, the father of her children, was capable of such brutality. But as the facts of the dispute emerged, she understood the issue was significantly more convoluted than she had first believed. Emotions ran high as she pondered the surprising turn of events. Kirk Frost, who had always the calm and collected figure on the program, had finally lost his anger. Mendeecees, who had been under fire for his previous conduct, was now at the heart of an even greater tempest. Fans of the event couldn't stop discussing what had happened. The hashtag Kirk Frost and Mendeecees fight rapidly went popular, with fans guessing about the reason of the conflict and what it signified for the future of love and hip-hop. Rumors spread like wildfire, with some alleging that the battle was manufactured for drama and others believing that it was a true spontaneous eruption. The truth was far more nuanced, and only time with the fallout of the incident would shake the whole Love and Hip Hop series, with both Kirk Frost and the police engaged, and Mendeecees faced dire repercussions. The future of the program appeared uncertain, but one thing was clear: the show had achieved a new level of drama and popularity. Could not wait to see what would happen next. The turmoil from the fight between Kirk Frost and Mendeecees had left the whole set in a state of shock, but the true consequence of the incident was still to unravel. As the cops began to wrap up during their inquiry, both Kirk and Mendeecees were urged to cool down and stand aside. However, it was evident that this event was simply the beginning of a much greater breakdown. "This is all men's fault," Kirk Frost mumbled to himself, shaking his head in dismay. "Shelf me, he's the one who's been insulting me for months." Meanwhile, Mendeecees, who was equally seething, was trying to make sense of everything that had just transpired. "I can't believe Kirk Frost actually put his hands on me." His mind raced. "I've always tried to keep my cool, but he's been pushing me to the edge for far too long. This time, I'm done." The tension between them was tangible, and it was evident that neither one was going to back down. As the scenario progressed, the production team raced to make sense of the mayhem. "We've never had anything this has happened on set before." One of the producers whispered to a colleague, "This is awful for the program, bad for the network. They'll demand answers." The behind-the-scenes drama was only starting. The confrontation between Kirk and Mendeecees was no longer simply an isolated occurrence. It had become the main focus of the whole production. Back at the Love and Hip Hop production office, the higher-ups were holding an emergency meeting to examine the issue. "This is a PR disaster." Pacing the room, one of the execs stated, "We need to figure out how to spin this. The fans are going crazy, and the last thing we want is for this to become a scandal that could ruin the show." The room was filled with whispers as the team debated how to handle the fallout. "We could say it was a misunderstanding, something that got out of hand," another executive said. "We could use this as a storyline fans love drama, and this will surely get them talking." It wasn't long before the decision was made. The network would turn the incident into a storyline, adding gasoline to the fire and keeping the drama going. Alive, it was a dangerous decision, but one that had the ability to keep Love and Hip Hop in the limelight for weeks to come. The producers were already preparing the following episode, the dramatic, but this wasn't just any episode. It was going to be a tipping moment. In the continuous drama between the two guys, the program has always relied on high stakes drama to keep people captivated, but today it's more than just entertainment. It was a show, and the stakes had never been higher. Outside the studio, the media frenzy was only escalating. tabloids and entertainment websites were inundated with news about the battle. Each one is more sensationalized than the last. Kirk Frost and Mendeecees arrest on one headline shouted Love and Hip Hop Drama. Kirk Frost and Mendeecees had a stunning argument this season. Another read: the fans, who were anxiously awaiting the next episode, were now much more immersed in the story. "I can't believe Kirk did that," to Mendeecees. One fan remarked, "This is crazy. I need to know what happens next." Another remarked, "Love and Hip Hop has never been this crazy. What is going on to happen to Kirk and Mendeecees now?" The buzz around the tragedy only became stronger as more information surfaced. Kirk and Mendeecees have been at odds for months, with tensions approaching a breaking point. This did not simply happen overnight. A person close to the incident claimed that Kirk and Mendeecees have had beef for quite some time. They've been arguing behind the scenes, and this brawl was the consequence of all that built-up resentment. And source further stated that the argument was over more than simply personal concerns between the two men. It was for power. Mendeecees has been attempting to take over Kirk's place on the show for quite some time. According to The Insider, he has been making moves behind Kirk's back for some time now. Understands it. This is more than simply a brawl. It's a war for domination. The behind-the-scenes turmoil only fueled the flames, and fans were ready to take sides. Kirk Frost calls Mendeecees a traitor who was attempting to bring down the original cast. Members of Love and Hip Hop others supported Mendeecees' assertion that Kirk Frost had been nothing more than a manipulative person who had always sought to dominate the narrative on the program. Been more than just a brawl, it had become a full-fledged war, and the supporters were here for it. Meanwhile, Kirk and Mendeecees were both dealing with the aftermath in their different ways. Kirk Frost, who had always prided himself on his image, the family guy on the television, was now facing a significant issue. His reputation had taken a major hit, and he understood that he had to undertake damage control if he wanted to remain relevant in the Love and Hip Hop. "I can't allow Mendeecees have the upper hand," Kirk Frost thought. As he paced his hotel room, he realized that the battle had changed everything, and now it was up to him to determine how to move forward. Would he apologize and try to recover his friendship with Mendeecees? Would he double down and take the dispute to the next level? Mendeecees was also feeling the pressure. Although he had received some backing from followers, he recognized that the war wasn't over. Kirk Frost was a prominent figure in the Love and Hip Hop culture, and Mendeecees had just made an enemy of one of the show's most important celebs. "This isn't over." Mendeecees thought, "Kirk's not going to let me get away with this, but I will not back down." He understood that this bout will determine his future on the program, and he wasn't going to let Kirk Frost walk all over him. As the drama progressed, one thing became clear: of Love and Hip Hop now lay in the hands of Kirk and Mendeecees, whose conflict had enthralled followers. The future of the program relied on how they dealt with the aftermath. Would they reconcile, or their rivalry rip apart the spectacle they had both helped establish? As the days passed, the tension only increased. Fans eagerly waited for the following episode to see what would happen next. Would Kirk Frost and Mendeecees fight again? Would they eventually come to grips with their troubles, or would their conflict reach new heights? Only time would tell, but one thing was clear: the turmoil on Love and Hip Hop was far from ended. What an unbelievable turn of events. Kirk Frost and Mendeecees have taken their rivalry to an amazing level, and we are all left wondering how this will evolve. The drama is at its peak, and we're only getting begun. What do you anticipate will happen next? Do you believe Kirk and Mendeecees will ever make up, or will this be the end of their friendship for good? We want to hear your opinions, so be sure to leave a comment below. If you're enjoying this drama, don't forget to press that like, click the button, and subscribe to remain up to speed on all the newest news and startling twists in the world of love. With hip-hop, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Trust us, the next episode is even wilder. Tune in and stay tuned for more incredible updates and behind-the-scenes surprises.